followers of Digital Movement 22. Welcome to another episode of our series that is Women in Design. So, today we are welcoming a very esteemed guest who is known for her commendable contributions in the architectural society. So, please welcome Tanya Khanna, an Indian architect and the founder of Epistle Communications, which has made her a pioneer in the field of architecture. So, Epistle is the first and largest communication consultancy for architects and designers in South Asia, and it takes pride in providing additional editorial, strategic, and communication marketing PR services within the domains of art, architecture, and design. So, having worked and studied in the UK, Tanya Khanna began her design career as an architectural journalist in India. She then founded Epistle, which recently completed 10 years in the industry. So, congratulations to you on that occasion, ma'am. And on that note, so I'd like to ask you, as a company that has worked on numerous projects, how would you describe the growth and progression of Epistle Communication in terms of your vision with which you set out 10 years ago?
So, firstly, thank you for having me over as a part of this series. I think it's a great effort to try and just encourage a dialogue in design. Honestly, when I set out to start Epistle, there was no real plan. The goal was not to be where we are. I had no intent of starting a large business or trying to achieve. I think the real concern that I had was that in India, particularly, there was a genuine gap in what architects design their sort of buildings to be. Any designer, actually, not just architects. It was interior designers, product brands. As designers, traditionally in the Indian design education, we are not taught to communicate our work using anything but visuals. So traditionally, we all have used images, drawings, 3Ds, etc., to communicate our design intent. And I genuinely felt that there was a gap there because in public domain, discourse in design and architecture includes words equally. So the goal was to essentially just help architects and designers in curating their content. That's really what I had set out to do. And everything that happened was just a byproduct of content, really. So Epistle was founded as a content-driven consultancy that would help anybody in the real estate and design domain document their work, curate it, and package it in a way that it would become more accessible to the outside world. Typically, architects and designers are used to talking in a language that non-architects, non-designers do not understand. So the goal was to really change that. I didn't even think we'll reach 5 years, forget 10 years when I started. So it's been a great journey. And I think every day is a new day. And I enjoy that journey.
Okay. So I get where you're coming from because even like as an architect who's recently starting out, I feel like as if even during our college years, we're usually taught how to make a design rather than, how to sell a design. Or it's like there's literally, you feel that big bridge in the middle when you actually transition from college life to the job life. You feel like there's a huge difference. Like there's people over here who's selling design. Over there, you were just making design. So I actually get where the whole idea of epistle communication is coming into. So epistle communication, like how you've explained, it's into many specializations, like marketing, design, and content creation. So would you mind sharing the strategies that are adopted for a smooth workflow and how has it actually changed during the work from home phase?
And they're two completely different questions. So I'll take the first one first.
Okay, yeah.
So we, like I said, we are a content-driven consultancy. In fact, over 10 years, the one thing that has changed is we are just Epistle and we are a communications consultancy. And we when we come on board with a designer or a product brand, we essentially understand first who they are, what is it that they do, what distinguishes them from other similar brands, and what is it that is unique about them as a brand. We then sort of articulate and go through that journey with them and document their work that aligns with who they are authentically, and then figure out what are the right tools for outreach for them. So for somebody, it may be Instagram. For somebody else, it may be PR. For a third brand, it could be awards, speaking opportunities. Somebody may be looking to attract talent. So recruitment becomes, plays a critical role. Somebody wants to engage with academia. So then we work with colleges and college students for them. So our goals are really, there is no standard format or a standard process. We essentially work with them and their goals and then identify what are the right tools that one can pick to communicate their content to their target audience. The goal is to really reach out to who they want to reach out to, because your target audience may be different from mine. So that is essentially our standard sort of process. Uh, the next question was, how has it changed uh, in a work from home situation? I would actually maybe rephrase the question, and I think what I've understood is, how did it change sort of post pandemic in a more digital context? Things changed dramatically. So while earlier the industry was pretty much moving one to one, there was a lot of physical events, physical interaction, and everything was in person. I think COVID and the pandemic really forced rather the industry to move online, to move digital. And where we came in was to really help in that transition process. So brands that had never made a website, we did websites for them. Firms that relooked at their digital content, we focused on that. And there was enough times when I think what we were doing originally anyways was looking at social media as a tool to communicate. So our clients had already been on LinkedIn and Instagram forever. So they all had like sort of a strong presence there. I think the pandemic and the work from home situation really made everybody understand that what was an option earlier was today, not a choice. You just had to be online to sustain and build a presence for yourself as a brand. And it also opened up a lot more avenues for brands, because you could reach out to a much larger audience then. Instead of city and region specific goals, brands could now have nation or global goals. You could reach out and do a lot. uh, even if you were a business operating out of a small town in Madhya Pradesh, you could actually reach a much larger audience. So I think that's something that changed for us as well.
So basically, the shift that we've seen in the recent years, like 2-3 years into the digital world, that has in a way benefited a lot of people. I mean, that's what you can see in the transition phase. But obviously, it was a tough time. But it's like a small silver lining on the cloud. But yeah, you can see that digital movement. I mean, so it's actually a really good thing. But relating to this, I actually wanted to address an issue. There's this trend in India, that one of the major projects, like the major projects in India, usually, the government projects and, or major any private projects, they're usually taken up by these famed consultancies that, they focus more on the delivery than the actual design process. So, like, if you compare consultancies from actual architectural firms, so what in your opinion is actually hindering these architectural firms from, taking up these projects?
So I think actually there is nothing that stops a mid-sized studio or a probably large-sized studio, design studio, that has capability to deliver, let's say, a large institutional project. There's nothing that stops you from getting it. I think there is an inherent problem in the way we have been groomed as professionals, which is to focus on just what we do. And work will just, there is a certain level of, I don't know if it's contentment or is it just inertia that, okay, work will just come to us. I get enough work. Why do I need to go and talk about my work and try and get work? So even in college, we are not trained to really fill in RFPs, tender documents, etc., etc. It's something that is not a part of the 5 years of architectural education. Whereas for large projects, there is a bid that goes out, there is an RFP that goes out, and whether you're a young studio or a large studio, you need to be equipped to fill that RFP. It's a global phenomenon. Internationally, there are teams there is a full team that will prepare for an RFP, right? Even if it's not a pre-design scheme, just why should you get the project? What is your unique design strength? What is the capability? How many projects have you done? How much square foot have you built? So that process needs to be a lot more streamlined. And I think the firms, there are enough examples. While I partially agree with you that does happen, I think there are also enough examples of firms that have completely changed the norm. From doing houses, they are now doing infrastructures, highways, airports, etc., etc. They obviously got their first project somehow, and it is because they took that leap and made that, they took that leap and created a process to be able to apply and be eligible for these projects. So that is one part of it, to create documentation that substantiates your credibility and allows you to be at least considered to get the project. The other is, India as a developing nation, there is so much work out there technically that even stakeholders are actually looking for the right people. They're looking for landscape architects. They're looking for architects. They're looking for planners. They're looking for people to do good work. But they're unable to find, because architects traditionally, or urban planners, are so used to working in their little studios, in their little silos, literally living in a bubble. There are enough people, and I'm not going to name anybody, but who don't even have a website. Now, what is happening? If in Rajasthan, somebody wants to build a large institute, okay, the first thing the government body or their office, somebody in their office, is going to find architects who do educational institutes in India. Forget even Rajasthan. Half the people will not be eligible because they don't have any presence online. So stuff like online presence, websites, SEO, the fact that you could be on the first 5 pages of Google is something that nobody would even think of. Now I think actually in the last 3 years, it's really changed. Everybody is aware of it. But I remember in the first 5-6 years of Epistle, we would meet firms and we would tell them about SEO. And the first question that would come to us would be, what does SEO mean? They didn't know what search engine optimization was. And then to have a budget for it and spend resources on it, and then to understand that there will be a return on that investment. I think the industry has taken a while to get there. Today, all firms understand that, okay, Instagram is going to help them. LinkedIn is a professional networking platform. I can tell you that we've got enough projects through LinkedIn. And I know enough really large firms who have got projects of housing, airports, infrastructure, toll plazas through LinkedIn, right? Large corporate offices through LinkedIn, because you are out there and you are identified as a thought leader in the domain that you're working in. And that's a fabulous place to be, right? So there is a lot of room to do. Instead of, I think if architects generally change their tendency to stop complaining about grapes being sour and instead focus on everything that they could do to really try and get the work that they want to do, I think things would be a lot better.
Yeah, totally. Because, sorry?
I said, I hope I haven't offended anyone.
No, definitely not. Because I actually relate to that issue so much, since you can actually see, I've mentioned this so many times, you can actually see the transition in architectural phase going. You just mentioned how architects are actually staying in their bubble, and you can see that. You can actually see that in real, that people are actually not even daring to move forward to any other sort of a specialization. Like, they've just chosen one and they're just sticking to it. So, it's like you've seen that, you're seeing that in the past 3 years, as some people who are actually trying out so many different options. And there are some who are just, some really talented, may I just say, add on that. They're really talented in just sticking on to one thing. So, if we actually, directly address to this, the issue of designers not considering the importance of marketing, do you think that should this concept of design marketing be introduced at a university level? Should it be considered as a part of the syllabus, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not even marketing. I think more than marketing, it is communication. How do you communicate your work? It's a very, very critical part of education. If an MBA graduate, right, it's a core part of their curriculum. Marketing is a core part of their curriculum. At least we should know the basics. We are not saying that as architects we need to know everything to do with marketing. I mean, I know nothing about marketing in that sense. But if we were taught at least the fundamentals of marketing and communications, we'd at least have some head start when we set up our practices, when we join firms. We at least are taught to, we should at least be encouraged to write about our work, to present our work. We are not, the focus is so much on, I'm probably being blasphemous right now, but the focus is so much on getting the right sketch, getting the right 3D, the right model. And if you're, God forbid, if you're a writer, then you're actually discouraged. But there is no conversation about presenting your work. How does one present their work to an audience? Are we taught PowerPoint and Google Slides and all of that? No, we're not. And I can say that because we get a lot of fresh graduates. They don't know how to do this. How does a fresher architect with 1 or 2 years of experience go out and pitch for a project? It's not something we are trained to do.
Exactly. So it's basically like, we've been taught exactly the same process that has been in the syllabus for the past, I don't know, at least 20 years. And it's not been revised, I guess, for a long time. So that's actually a major issue that has to be, mentioned in this. So yeah, that was a pretty serious conversation we just had. So I'll just try to lighten up, and I'll ask you some light questions. So you've been in the field for a very long time, and you've gained a lot of experience. I mean, 10 years, and even you were working before that as well. So
10 years of Epistle. I a lot more.
Yeah,
I was working as an architect.
Yeah. So are they, so now when you look back, do you think there's any defining moments in your life? I'm saying moments as in plural. So that, you like to reminisce, reminisce.
Yeah, I think there were a couple. I can say that, right after I graduated, I got this one opportunity to work with A+D, which was India's oldest and sort of most renowned architectural journal, as an editorial assistant. And I thought it was a great opportunity. If I hadn't taken it up, I may have just moved down regular practice, the route of regular practice. I mean, it's not something I wanted to do, but that opportunity came my way and I took it. And it did play a very crucial role in changing my career trajectory, because it at least showed me that I really did enjoy working with words as much as I enjoyed design. And then subsequently, I would say, I think my decision to do a master's outside of India, again, it allowed me so much exposure, and I just saw so much, and I looked at newer ways of seeing things, newer ways of doing things, newer ways of working with text, newer ways of using writing as a tool for communication. I mean, I actually got an opportunity along with my master. I did a design master's, I did an MArch, but the opportunity to do a course, pick up an elective in academic writing while doing a master's degree in architecture. I mean, it was a great opportunity. So again, played a very, very critical role in what I do today. And then, of course, even when I moved back, the fact that the firms that I worked for in India allowed me the room to do what I wanted to do, allowed me to work in the field of marketing, communications, business development, all of this. If I hadn't got those opportunities, maybe I wouldn't have set up Epistle. It's each one of them was a stepping stone for me in that sense.
Yeah, because these kind of moments, we sometimes think back and we are like, what if this had not happened? Maybe life would have been a little different than what it is at the present moment. So these moments actually it comes with the experience. I mean, it's obviously difficult for our people our age to understand this, but experience plays such a major role. I mean, you come to know that you've learned the skill, but it's literally the experience that teaches you so many new things. So it's an important thing.
Also, I'd like to add, I think more than experience, because experience you can only get if you choose the opportunity. I think more importantly, finding the right mentors, having the right support system is really, really important. I could think of doing whatever I wanted to do. I mean, I was equally confused. I remember when I got this opportunity right after, my BR to pursue this job, this role at A plus D. I was really confused in all sort of. I think 80% of my mind was like, I've studied 5 years of architecture. Am I going to really go ahead and take up a role in journalism? Even though journalism was one of my career choices when I was a teenager. But at that point, I spoke to a lot of my mentors, like my faculty members, people in my family, etc. And they all encouraged me to do it. If they had not given me that sort of right support, I remember like this very, very respected faculty member of mine, I spoke, he said, what do you lose? You lose a year, 6 months maybe at max, but try it out. It's something you've loved doing. You are good at it. This allows you to explore your own potential. Had those words not been said to me, I wouldn't have taken up that role and things would be different. So the experience wouldn't have come in if I did not have the mentors. It's equally important to have the mentors and to open your life up to the opportunities that are coming your way.
Yeah, I totally understand that. So, I mean, we're actually running a little short on time. So I'll just go a little further. This series was basically, it's a series of women in design. So this is a question that I've been asking to all the people who are coming. And I'd like to ask you as well. Do you think things would have been different? Do you think as being a woman in the design field, in the architectural journey, do you think you have to push more than, being a woman? Or do you think it's already a situation that is, equalized and it's a done and dusted situation? Do you think it's actually removed from the architectural?
I think, firstly, this whole man and woman thing, I think it's sometimes it's overplayed a bit. Not in the way that this is not unique to architecture as a profession. Yeah. This is there in every single profession. And as I grow older and as I work with more and more people, I see that a lot more. I also feel that as young people, the feminist battle is very different. As you get older and as you deal with other bigger challenges in life, it really is, it has nothing to do with gender. I mean, in one way, it has nothing to do with gender. We can't say that the men are not supporting us, because to me, realistically, the women are equally non-supportive. As a professional, as a women professional, you become a leader, you become a mother, you become a parent, you become a spouse. There are so many other journeys that one takes on as a woman, and your professional journey needs to support all of those journeys, and it's vice versa. We always talk about work-life balance. So work and life move hand in hand. So if women need to be supported, it is not only at work that they need to be supported, they also need to be supported at home. And the other way around, if women are being supported, if women are not being supported at home, then the work also needs to support them. As co-workers, as bosses, as clients, as anybody, as faculty, why is it that women have to, why is it that women have to resort to only, I know I'm saying resort only because that's how people come to us for career options. That, I can't practice anymore because my workplace will not allow me the time to, to leave early or, to take care of my kids and all of that. We need to create an environment at work and at home that is more inclusive. It's not about gender anymore. We need to make it more inclusive for men. We need to make it more inclusive for women. More than that, I think the real issue is, as designers and architects, we need to be paid. I mean, today, architecture schools are charging fees that varies from 3 to 5 to 6 lakh rupees a year. But when an architecture graduate finishes college, they're offered 15,000 rupees for an internship, or 18,000 rupees as a fresher, or 20,000 rupees at max. I think those are challenges that as architects we need to worry about a lot more, because we will not have architects anymore. Forget men, man or woman. It doesn't matter. If we don't make it a meaningful profession, if we have to create room for entrepreneurs, we have to create room for professionals who can work in a team and a collaborative environment. How will large practices run? So I think, well, of course, I'm sure, and I can say honestly that there is a gender issue in the industry, like any other industry. We all, if we start being a little more honest to ourselves and to the profession, I think we have a long way to go and we'll do really well. But we need to pick our battles and focus on the right battles.
Okay. I really liked how you explained that out, because currently in this profession there are so many more issues, like how you've explained the pay factor. I mean, you can actually see how the market is, different, because there's many different kind of people who are actually opting. They've literally destroyed the culture of architecture where they're not getting paid. Like, you'll find people doing that same work for even less amount, which actually, just drops the market down. So I can actually understand how there are so many problems within the profession that need to be addressed before, moving forward with this. So really liked how you explained that out. And we've had a long interview. So let's just, I'll just ask you a very light question. So you've lived a very successful career life, and obviously it's still ongoing, and it takes up so much of your time. I can understand that. So how do you spend your leisure time, and do these habits, like do any kind of habits that play a key role in keeping you motivated?
So this is leisure time. On a Saturday evening, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
There is, I think, a line between, for me, my work-life balance it's a very, very, very thin line. I genuinely feel that I genuinely care about what I do. So I try and make the time for it. And when I'm really exhausted, I switch off as well. I think Sundays have been very, very sacred for me. Although once I started Epistle, I think Sunday evenings I start work again because I want to be better prepared for my Mondays. But otherwise, I take time. I mean, I don't know. I think I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to define roles and silos in my life. And I think that is something that has helped me. I'm sure it doesn't work for everybody, but it definitely works for me. It doesn't matter if my son is accompanying me to office on a summer holiday day. It's fine. He has walked into client meetings as well. If while I'm in the office, it's okay. I have traveled and I've carried my laptop along because if I've taken the responsibility of being an entrepreneur, I need to do it. If I mean, there's just, yeah. So I take out time, like I do switch off from work a bit earlier in the day. So around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I switch off on a weekday. But then I also get back to work around 8. I spend some time with my kids, and then can I get back because I need to do some writing in quiet time. And, I try and clean up my work before the day ends, so that there's no baggage and pressure that I'm carrying. I wake up early. I'm fairly disciplined in that sense. I don't like socializing a lot. So I am very happy to use my weekdays for work and use my weekends for leisure time. And I don't expect a lot. I don't watch a lot of TV. There is no Netflix until for me. I think I've said that on so many interviews in the last 2 years. I do not spend my time. I do a little bit of binge watching maybe once in 3 months or 6 months, like one day, and that's it. I think there is only, one should really be honest to how much time they're working hard and then justify it with how much relaxation do they actually need. And and I think I have a very simple life actually. So it's fairly easy to manage most of this. Some days are really hard. Some work days, there are work days when I'm working 12, 16 hours, and that's okay. I enjoy it, and then I'll take a day easy if need be. So that's how I try and achieve balance.
I mean, like you said, it's a very simple life, but I believe that, this kind of a simple life just, I mean, there are a lot of things, in that work life balance, but the major thing that that simple life keeps us is, it helps us maintain our health actually, and I'm talking about mental and physical health in both sense because, the Saturdays and Sundays are the only time when you can just sit down and just, I mean, sometimes not even do anything. I mean, even that is a very good habit because,
Yeah, and
you have that.
I love doing that. I love doing that. For me,
Same here.
Sunday at home. Yeah. For me, a Sunday at home is what works really, really well.
Yeah.
That is what rejuvenates me really. Even now, I feel like, no going out also rejuvenates me that much as a Sunday spent at home doing nothing.
Really clears your
So
mind and everything. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because even like you said, even I have that small habit of start working from Sunday evening. Start doing those small things. You won't have to do them on Monday, like replying to emails and everything. Just get it done with. So it's kind of an unhealthy habit though. But yeah, I mean it. Whatever works for us. It's okay, fine. Okay, so I'll just this is the final question, so that I don't take up too much of your time. And so the final question. Due to this digital flood that we've seen in the last 3-4 years, the architectural youth is more aware of the various opportunities that they can pursue. So, is there any advice that you would like to give them related to filtering out their niche and understanding what they're good at?
I think the one thing I would say is that make the most of your day. Really, if you love to write, there is no excuse to not write. If you love to draw, there is no excuse to not draw. If you love to travel, there is no excuse to not travel. You want to go do that master's, go do it, but make the most of it. Whatever you do, give it your 100%. And there is no way that then your sort of hard work will not give you the fruits of labor because you've put in your best and the best will happen to you. I'm fairly spiritual like that. You try your best, good things will happen to you. Like I said, I never went out even seeking a lot of the opportunities. But I do know that when I would sleep at night, I would be dead tired because I had worked hard. And people recognize hard work more than anything, over and above anything and everything. People do recognize hard work. So be honest. And I say that a lot to my team as well. Be honest to your work, be honest to your life. If you're at home, be honest to your time there. If you're at work, be honest to your time there. Realistically, the nature of our work is such you do a good amount of 6 hours of work and you're good to go. But keep your eyes and ears open to opportunity. If you get to do two things simultaneously, there is no harm in doing it. There is no harm when we are young and we have the energy and the enthusiasm. I'm not saying you do 16-hour days. I'm not encouraging a toxic or sort of exhausting work culture. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as an individual, figure out who you want to be. What is your brand? What is it that distinguishes you? What do you stand for as an individual? I think about it. If I didn't have anything, if I didn't have Epistle, I don't know what else I do because it's the only thing I've ever stood for. It's the only thing that gives me an identity. It's what I really genuinely care about. Find out what is it that you genuinely care about and put your heart and soul into it, and you will definitely do well, and everything will come your way.
Yeah, so that's really, I mean, it really is a thing that, you have to manifest things to, actually move towards them. Because just sitting and, expecting, and, sometimes, I mean, not just sitting, I've seen people, do that donkey labor as well, just, working themselves so hard that, I mean, without a, vision actually. So even that makes a huge difference. And, I mean, we still have a lot of years to go and still to gain a lot of experience. But yeah, it's at least better to have a vision to move on to it. Like you said, it is Epistle was the only thing that you wanted to pursue it. So, I mean, having a plan A and not having a backup plan is something that, has a lot of risk, but it is the most motivational thing that you can do for yourself actually. So
And it's okay to not have a plan. It's okay to not even
exactly.
have a plan. It's okay to just spend your time doing what you love. Because, like I said, for me, there was no goal to set up Epistle. It was one project and second project and third project. And I said, okay, I mean, great. This is working great. Your plans, allow yourself to build a plan as well.
Yeah. So we've reached the end of our casual conversation with you, ma'am, and this has happened to be the highlight of my evening. Actually, the highlight of my weekend, actually. So that was the end of our interview, and I really thank you for taking our time that too during the weekend and meeting up with us and speaking with us. It was a lovely conversation that I had with you, actually. So just there were a lot of interference, of course, but yeah, it was really fun speaking with you, ma'am. So won't take much of your time, and let's just end this. And thank you so much for having, and also thank you for the viewers for watching as well. So that's it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me, and good luck for you in this series that you've started.
Thank you.
Take it forward, and thank you to everybody who listened in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Okay, have a good day, ma'am.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.